All right, some breaking news coming in at this moment. BJP in Delhi is going to make strategic changes to its election campaign. Sources say the focus is going to be to challenge Arvind Kejriwal's image. So after asking 5 questions to Arvind Kejriwal daily, there will perhaps be a full frontal attack, a personal attack rather. Brijesh Pandey is with us, joining us for all the latest. Brijesh, should this not be seen as a sort of a personal attack on Arvind Kejriwal's claims of being Janta ka CM? All right, we'll try going across to Brijesh Pandey in just a short while from now. But there seems to be a change in the Delhi campaign strategy where the BJP has decided to counter the Janta ka CM claim of Arvind Kejriwal. So it's a no-holds-barred attack against Kejriwal. We'll see the attack get a little more personal in nature. Moving on now, Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party could have completely avoided the so close to this Delhi election. Headlines Today has accessed Jayanti Natarajan's letter to Sonia Gandhi in which she alleges that she received specific requests from Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi on environmental clearances, and she consequently rejected big-ticket projects despite pressure from cabinet colleagues and industry leaders. The letter also indicates that Mr. Gandhi was involved in policy decisions at a micro level during the UPA 2 under Dr. Manmohan Singh, something that the Congress has consistently denied. Natarajan said she had become a victim of a vicious, false and motivated media campaign by particular chosen individuals in the party after Mr. Gandhi shifted from his pro-environmental position to a corporate-friendly one at the height of the electioneering for Lok Sabha. All right, let's quickly go across to Deputy Editor Ashar Khan as well as our Executive Editor Javed Ansari for more on this story. Javed, let me come across to you first. How do you read the fact that this letter has in fact come in at this moment? Because a lot of people in the Congress and as we have in fact been reporting are saying that this has been very selectively being leaked out or put out in the media. The fact that Jayanti Natarajan is upset about these specific points. She could have spoken about this earlier as well.
Look, she's been languishing in wilderness and I am given to understand that this is a precursor to her quitting the party and perhaps joining the TMC floated by Mr. G.K. Vasan. She was, in fact, when the Congress had earlier split as well in Tamil Nadu, she was a part of the G.K. Mupanar group and the party that he has subsequently formed. And it begs another question. If this indeed was the case, if there's a grain of truth to what she's saying, then why didn't she make it public at that point of time? Why now?
Absolutely, Javed. Do stay on with us. We also have Ashar Khan with us. Ashar, I believe, as you were mentioning earlier, the Congress party is expected to hold a briefing at around 4:15. But before that, there is a briefing by Jayanti Natarajan at around 12:30. Do we know what really is going to be the response of the Congress party? Because now we pretty much know what Jayanti Natarajan has had to say.
Well, what is expected is that the Congress will speak officially at around 4:15 when the normal press conference is due of the Congress party. But keeping all those things aside, the bigger question here is that there is a resentment which is coming in leaders when you speak to them privately about meeting and access to Rahul Gandhi. That is something which is also been mentioned in this letter. In fact, it says that Jayanti Natarajan wanted to meet the Congress Vice President quite a few times, but no appointment was given. So as far as the style of functioning is concerned, the office of the Congress Vice President is concerned, all this is coming under strict scrutiny, especially when the party is out of power. We've seen leaders talk about it. We've seen people coming out and giving adjectives to the people who are surrounding Rahul Gandhi. So this is something which is coming into close scrutiny, and that is something which is being attacked upon.
Absolutely. But what about this particular instance itself, the fact that Jayanti has mentioned in her letter? We in fact spoke to GVL Narasimha Rao, the BJP spokesperson, where he said that so far we had only heard of Jayanti tax, but if this letter is to be believed, then perhaps it could also be a reflection of something more serious, something which the BJP chooses to call now the Rahul Gandhi tax as far as environmental clearances are concerned. Let's quickly listen in to what the BJP had to say.
One always harbored these suspicions as to how a junior minister heading the environmental ministry could hold up projects worth thousands of crores. And now it comes out, and we always it was believed to be some kind of a Janta tax, which was what was being talked about openly in corporate circles. Now it turns out this was actually a Rahul Gandhi tax, and Rahul Gandhi was actually instrumental in stalling projects in the environmental ministry, obviously with the motive of pressurizing the corporate sector to pay up to get clearances. I think there cannot be any greater incidents and evidence of corruption by the Congress's leadership involved in a series of scams. I think this possibly is the direct evidence that you are getting, and I hope there will be more details that will come out as she starts squealing and speaking out.
All right, let's go across to Congress leader PC Chacko, who joins us on the phone line. Mr. Chacko, appreciate you speaking to Headlines today. First of all, your initial reaction to this letter that has now come out.
But to be frank, I have not seen her letter. But as I am told about her letter, you know, it is very, very unfair on the part of Ms. Natarajan to make such a wild allegation against the Congress Vice President. Because it is a known fact that, you know, in the last 10 years of the UPA government, neither the office of the Vice President nor the office of the Congress President has ever interfered with the functioning of the government. No allegation was ever raised even by the opposition parties. So Ms. Natarajan may have some personal reasons to resign. She is free to do that. Congress has seen such people leaving the party. Janta Natarajan just followed Ms. Krishna Tirath, who left the party the other day. Such people can always leave the party, they are free to do. But that does not need any kind of explanation as she made in the letter, which is totally baseless.
No, Mr. Chacko, my follow-up question to you is, you know, the points that she has mentioned in her letter. She says that I am a victim of vicious, false and motivated media campaign by particular chosen individuals in the party after Mr. Gandhi shifted from his pro-environmental position to a corporate-friendly one at the height of electioneering for the Lok Sabha. Your party, the Congress party, has an internal mechanism to address these issues or address these concerns. Don't you think that given the seriousness, the gravity of these allegations, at least a sort of an inquiry should be launched within the Congress party to try and identify whether this was the case?
No, I do not think so, because where is the need of an inquiry? When this happened, when she resigned, when she was, resigned from this minister's post, after 1 year, if she is coming with a kind of explanation, what does it mean? Can you agree with the intention or integrity of a person who is doing it after 1 year? I think if at all Ms. Natarajan had any complaint.
No, my counter question, Mr. Chacko, is why not? My point is you are questioning the timing. That is a valid question. A lot of people will question the timing. But the fact that this matter has now come to the fore, don't you think deserves a sort of an inquiry or at least look into this matter?
No, what has come to the fore? Please tell me what has come to the fore.
The fact that she has mentioned in the letter that there was a vicious, false and motivated media campaign against her, perhaps insinuating that at Mr. Gandhi's behest.
No, in fact, this is all her, allegation. There is absolutely nothing to substantiate that. Then why should we take it seriously at all? Mr. Gandhi has never interfered with the functioning of the government with any minister. I do not think that a second person will come saying or supporting this other than Ms. Natarajan, because this is such a baseless allegation, and in our party no one is going to believe this, and not only in our party, outside also. Ms. Natarajan was holding important positions in this party when the party was in power. Party is not in power. That is the only reason for some individuals like Ms. Natarajan to get personally
Mr. Chacko, then why was she asked to resign? Why was she asked to resign as a minister?
No, it is always the prerogative of the Prime Minister, and there is absolutely nothing wrong in that. How many ministers' portfolios were changed? How many ministers were dropped during our time or during the time of every government? Is that
But Mr. Chako, her letter said that the party wants her for party work. Subsequently, she was not even used for party work. What was the reason for her resignation then?
She cannot expect that she will be in position always. If that is the inference, I do not agree with that. There are many senior leaders in this party who had contributed to this party much more than Mr. Natarajan, who are not holding any position in the party. He has become, she held many positions in the party as in the central minister, party functionary, but there are a number of people who served this party longer years than Mr. Natarajan, who never held any position in the party.
Okay,
This is a very, very childish explanation, and nobody is going to buy this explanation.
Mr. Chako, I will just request you to please stay on with us for 30 more seconds because Mr. Nalin Kohli is with us. Earlier in the day, Mr. Kohli, we spoke to GVL Narasimha Rao, who said that this calls for an inquiry as far as the Environment Ministry is concerned. Your party is at the helm of affairs right now in the centre. Do you think an inquiry should be launched to perhaps look into these claims?
That is for the government to decide.
Yes.
However, the larger question is, with the Congress party will try to cover up by pretending to take the question of why is it being raised. What we know in the nation what we know for a fact is that an extra constitutional authority was always exercised on the central government by the Congress party leadership. Whether it was the National Advisory Council led by Mrs. Gandhi, which constantly kept on challenging things being done by the government, or Mr. Rahul Gandhi personally. One doesn't need to look far. You would find it clearly in terms of the ordinance issue, where he stormed into a press conference, disturbed it, and then said that ordinance is worth to throw into a dustbin while the Prime Minister was travelling internationally. And then, of course, the government went backwards to find an explanation to do so. So therefore, we know that. Second is, we need to bear in mind that under the Congress UPA, the economy came to a standstill. Policy paralysis is not a term coined by the BJP. It was reality. There was a governance deficit. There was an ethical deficit. Why did it take place? Because these are the larger questions because of which India has suffered. So those have to be out in the open. And my last point is that the Congress leadership can say anything it wants, but the question about Mr. Rahul Gandhi, his leadership, the efficacy or the lack of it, has been raised by Congress leaders most. Whether it's in Kerala, whether it is in Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir, or even now leaders from Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Because nobody knows what Mr. Rahul Gandhi stands for, where he is, he doesn't attend parliament, he doesn't have substantive views on a host sort of things.
Okay.
He appears event to event and mostly to put his writ on something. So therefore the Congress party must answer.
Let us ask Mr. Chako. Mr. Chako, you heard that attack that the BJP is mounting. Many would say that perhaps this comes ahead of the Delhi elections. This comes very comfortably for them to actually take on you. Now, my pointed question to you is the last point that Mr. Nalin Kohli has actually mentioned. Do you think that the criticism against Mr. Rahul Gandhi is coming most from within your party?
This is something which Nalin Kohli or any BJP leaders need advise the Congress party. The Congress party thinks that our future depends on the leadership of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and the party is fully satisfied the way he is leading this party. See, the parties win and lose elections, that does not mean that they can make allegations against them. Mr. Nalin Kohli should, keep in mind that, the days are not far off when, your own party people coming out with allegations against your own Prime Minister and your own party President. It is better to refrain from making such allegations. Whether the Congress people are not happy or they are not, going with Rahul Gandhi is not something which others can say. But here is an issue. Some people leaving the party. If he wants these damn courts to be made, to prop up them and to make them as instruments to make allegations against the Congress, they can do so. We have seen worse situations in the past, and we have overcome and we have come back also. So we have enough experience in our past that, such people can, all these allegations will be like, will be ignored by the people, ignored by the Congress people. And I do not think that there is any substance which needs an inquiry into the allegations made by Mr. Natarajan.
Okay, Mr. P.C. Chacko as well as Mr. Nalin Kohli, appreciate you joining us at this moment. The big story, political story that we are in fact tracking at this moment. We are expecting Janta Natarajan to actually put forward her side of the story, most of which is already out in that November 5th, 2014 letter that she has written to the Congress president. Of course, she is going to hold a press conference at 12:30 p.m. where she will elaborate, where she will explain in greater detail as to what really was or had her upset, and whether she is going to leave the party or not, and whether she is going to join a new political dispensation.